All right. So, sorry for that little pause for a second. But today we're going to be working on a project called the Upcycling Tee. So I am wearing the actual project. This was a regular T-shirt that I turned into one with a peplum and some wide sleeves. You can do both of these parts if you want to do both the peplum and the sleeves, or maybe you just want to do the sleeves and keep the bottom the same, but it's kind of up to you. The reason why I'm using my So Much Soul sweatshirt is because we have So Much Soul conference coming up September 12th through the 14th. It is a 3-day virtual conference where we are going to be sewing and quilting together, making a total of 6 projects. And we also have 2 additional classes, such as the meaning of African print fabrics. We also have a class about trouser adjustments as well. So it's just a weekend full of sewing and quilting and culture and connection and community, all of those things together. So I'm going to get my chat up so I can see who is in the room. So give me 1 second with that. And while I'm at it, if you are not familiar with So Much Soul or you have not registered yet, you want to go ahead and type SMS in the chat so that you can get the link to register today. Why do I say today? It's because the conference is coming up very quickly and we only have limited amount of supply boxes left. So if you want to register for free and then get your supply box for the conference, we only have a few of them left. And I just confirmed again, we will not be restocking them. All right, so let's see. Yes, that's me. Everything is like making sure. Okay, so I have approved. Let me just check the chat real quick, guys. Make sure I don't turn on any volume. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I can see everybody in the chat. I see Annette's here. I see Shakanda, Alicia. Perfect. So thank you all so much for joining. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the cutting table. I am going to be using our t-shirt. So this is this year's t-shirt. I am working today on a 2XL shirt. All right, so that's the size I'll be working on today. And it's already, I was going to give it away, but one of our volunteers was like, can you make a 2X so that you can make it for me? And I was like, oh, okay. You did just spend the whole day here packing So Much Soul boxes. So of course I had to say yes. So I'm going to be working on a 2X. And I'm going to be working with the Zomani Garden, I think is the name of this fabric. You can find it on our website at sewcreativelounge.com. I'm going to use about 2 yards of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off 2 yards of fabric for this project. And yeah, that's basically all you'll need. Now, you will need, of course, a pair of scissors because we're going to be cutting the shirt. You're going to be cutting your fabric. I'm also going to be using as a guide or as a template a pattern that I found on the internet. And I have uploaded this particular pattern inside of the VIP portal. Now, you don't necessarily have to use it. I just like to use it as a guide. I know many of you all are, let's see, more familiar with sewing with a pattern, but this is also something, if you look at the shape of these particular pieces, I think that you guys can do it on your own without the pattern. But for those that have already registered for So Much Soul and have gotten their VIP ticket, you can go ahead into the portal and you'll find this pattern that you can download. Okay. All right. So I see a few more people that have joined in. I see Eunice. Oh, we just talked yesterday. Hi, Miss Eunice. I see Josephine is watching. I see Robin. I see Bonnie and Lou Craft from Central North Carolina. So welcome everybody to the live. Let me fold this up so when I switch to cameras, it'll look like something in the camera. All righty. So we've got our t-shirt, a few other things. All right, so let's head over to the cutting table and let's get started. All right, so here we are at the cutting table. I've got some scrap fabric because I will want to test my machine shortly. We have 2 yards of, I believe it's Zomani Garden is the name of this fabric. And again, our So Much Soul t-shirt. Let me open this up so you all can see the entire design. She's super, super cute. I am really excited. And again, I'm using a 2XL, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on the inside. But we're going to be playing with this one today. And again, the pattern that I'm going to be using as a guide is uploaded inside of the portal for all of my VIP participants for the conference. But again, this is a good guide to use, but it's not, it's not 100% necessary. So this particular pattern has two pieces, a front and a back. I don't really care what's going on up here, but what I'm going to be using is this curved line for the back here. I'm going to be using the curved line on the front here, and I am going to be using, of course, the sleeve piece, which is a really big sleeve. And then I have the peplum pieces, the front and back, which are both cut on fold. Okay, so front and back. Yeah, so that's what it is. All right. Now this particular pattern does go up to a size 12. And I'm going to show you how to make adjustments because, again, we're using these lines as a guide. So it's not really a big deal if it's not inclusive of all sizes. All right, so first thing we're going to do is cut our shirt. I am going to be using a 2XL, and I am going to cut off my sleeves first. So I'm just folding it in half because I don't like to do double work, and I want to make sure that both of the sleeves match. So I'm just checking up under here to make sure that they are matching. All right, perfect. All right, everybody doing all right? I see Miss Janet here. I see Michelle. Hello, hello. So I am going to be cutting just right next to the seam, like right over that seam, cutting that off just so I can get that. Thank you, ladies. Those are our what we call our so creative angels. They come in every Wednesday. We just knocked out packing 150 boxes today. So for the conference. Okay, let me cut that little piece off. So yes, So Much Soul kits are on the way. And if you have not ordered it, oh my, I'm so sorry for you. All right. Okay, so we got the sleeves off. Now we're going to be working on this bottom portion. All right, so I'm just evening this out so that everything is looking good. And then all I'm going to do is going to fold this over so that we can work on that bottom pattern. And actually, let me fold it on the other side because I want to make sure that I do not have any issues with, there we go. Perfect. Okay. I see people in the chat now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right. So we are going to start with this back piece first. And I'm lining this up with the sleeve. I know that the shoulders do not match, and that does not matter. But I want to make sure that this sleeve part is at a good position. I'm also going to add a few inches. So I am seeing the bottom of my pattern. I'm going to line this up so I have like 4 inches at the bottom of this. Why? Because I'm going to come back after I cut the back. I'm going to come back and use the front piece. And the front piece, yeah, we're going to need about this. So let me see how many inches that is so I can give you all of it. And again, you do not have to use this pattern, but it is a bonus for my VIPs. All right, so I'm going to line this up about 5 inches from the bottom of my pattern, about 5 inches, okay? And I'm going to cut that out first, and then we're going to come back and recut the back piece, the front piece. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. All right, here we are. So let's go ahead and cut this out. If you do not have a pattern, we're basically making a small curve. So I'm going to cut it using the pattern, and then you can just kind of eyeball it and see what that's going to look like for you. All right. The other thing is if you're not sure exactly where, cut it lower. All right. And then come back and you can cut it again. This is awkward. So let me turn her here. Yes, these scissors are as terrible as they sound. Need some more scissors. Let's see. All right. So I've got the bottom part, and let me just move this out of the way. If you do not have a pattern, just do a slight curve. A slight curve, guys. Don't stress yourself out about it. Slight curve, all right? That's what we're looking for. And this is what the back piece is going to look like. I'm going to take this, put this to the side, put my sleeves to the side, And then we're going to open this up flat. I am purposely marking the front and back fold and just open this up so it's perfectly on its side. All right, so the sleeves are lined up and we're here. All right, so now I want to make a curve, but this time I'm making this curve in the opposite direction. All right, so this is going down. I'm going to say it's going to go like this. Yeah. All right, so I'm just using this as a guide, guys. So here, I'm going to go straight across here from that seam right under the armhole. All right, and then I'm just going to go around here, straight across here. All right, with a little bit of curve. I know. Naturally, I'm trying to keep it straight for the camera, but that just is very, very awkward. And voila. All right, so this is what it should look like. It's not exactly straight across. It's a little bit down and it goes up. If I turn it here, you can kind of see that it kind of dips up a little bit. Okay, it looks straight, but it isn't once you open it back up. Let me show you. This is probably a better view. So we have the front that's up here and then the back that's a little bit lower. All right, so now that we have our t-shirt cut, let's put her to the side and let's bring over our fabric. So I'm starting with a 2-yard piece of fabric. Any questions or anything? All right, I see people are joining in. Wonderful. All right, so the first thing I'm going to cut, let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut the sleeves first. So let's talk about the sleeve. We have this pattern piece, which is again a size 12. And what I want to do is measure across from here just to see how much space do I really need for my armhole, or what do I have for my armhole. So I have, it will be helpful to open her up. So right now this armhole is, walking it around, it's about 21 inches. All right, so let me look at the armhole for my t-shirt. 21 inches. We have 21. So for this one, I have, this armhole is 13 times 2, so that's 26. So I need to add about 5 more inches to this particular armhole, or top of the arm, not the armhole. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to just fold this over. I'm going to use that grain line as a guide, and I am going to cut this apart so I can get a little more space. So you may not have to do this if you're using the smaller sizes, but because I'm making a size 2X, I need to make sure that I have 26 inches. So I've separated this apart. Let's see, I need 26 inches. Let's see where we are so far. And remember, this is an upcycle tee. It is not a fitted blazer. It does not have to be perfect by any means. So I'm at 24. Let me open her up 2 more inches. Bam, there we are. And again, I want you to know how not perfect this has to be. And that's why I didn't measure it, because it's forgiving. This is a forgiving pattern. It's a t-shirt. It is not a blazer that has to be well fitted. So, all right, I'm pinning that down and I'm going to get this cut out. But I want to talk to y'all for a second, because y'all know I'm always coming up. I said I was going to do another. I need to write down all the giveaways I say I'm going to do during the conference. But I am going to do the best upcycle t-shirt giveaway. Okay. So when you upcycle your shirt, almost all of the shirts are either in the mail or will be in the mail by the end of this week. If you have you need to post it on the Sewing Lounge Facebook group, your upcycle t-shirt. All right. And then I'll give a prize for that. I'm thinking like maybe a $50 gift card, $25. I don't know what I'm going to give away yet, but I am going to give away something. So make sure you guys upcycle your tee. It's a lot of fun. And if you're like, Cecily, I want to keep it as it is, use a different t-shirt. Maybe you have the So Much Soul t-shirt from last year. All right, that's also a good offer. So we have like 3 or 4 So Much Soul shirts on our website. Just make sure it's a So Much Soul shirt. All right. So let's head over back to the cutting table. All right, so I have her, I was getting her prepared to cut. All right, I'm going to give her maybe another inch or so at the bottom, just because I think the person I'm making it for, they may want a longer sleeve. So I'm going to give her about an inch more. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Hi, Tracy. Oh my goodness, that should be fun. Does it have to be this pattern hack? No, Sheila. I'm just giving an idea. Please, everybody, don't do the exact same thing. That's not fun. That's not so creative. You definitely, if you can do whatever you want to your t-shirt. All right, just have fun. That is my only requirement, is to have fun. Have a good time when you're working on it, coming up with an idea. I just liked this one, and I thought it was easy to explain on this live. So no, I am not cutting your creativity, Miss Sheila. Alrighty. I'm only going to do a ½ inch. I said I was going to give another whole inch, but I'm going to just do a ½ inch. And why? Because, well, I can do an inch. So I cut about an inch down here, and I'm going to go back to a ½ inch when I get to the end. And the reason why is because I noticed when I was on that side, I did not have a whole inch of room at the end of this pattern. So actually, I don't even have an inch, a ½ inch, but it's okay. I'm just going to cut it open. All right. Sleeves are cut and done. I will mark so that I don't end up with 2 right sleeves or 2 left sleeves. So I'm going to mark here. This one has a double notch on the back. So this is single notches, double. So double notches indicate the back of the shirt. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this double notches so that I know which one is the back. I am also going to mark the wrong side of the fabric. All right, so my wrong side is to the inside. I had to check. All right, there's my wrong side. There's my wrong side. If you can't tell which side is wrong, doesn't matter. Just pick one and be consistent. All right, so now let's cut the peplum part. So my fold is on this side, and I would need a fold for both sides. All right, so I have 2 pieces that need to be cut on the fold. I have one here, and I have another one here. All right, so let's see how much we need to add for this one. So currently we have to find the measuring tape. I did not go anywhere. I was under the table. How do you lose your measuring tape and you don't even get up? All right, so the bottom front is 12 inches. All right, so let's see how much the bottom front of this one is. Let me get that center. I'm going to measure and find the center of this shirt so I can measure and see where it is. Okay. All right. So from here to here, oh, it's not that much. We only need about an inch. Okay, perfect. All right, so that's the bottom front. Let's see what the bottom back. So we need to add an inch for that. This is also 12 inches. Same. All right, so we need to add about an inch, which means if I move this fabric, move our pattern piece over about an inch, about a ½ inch, I will gain an inch of, wait, do I need a ½ inch? Give me 1 second. Let me grab that in my brain. I need a whole inch. Okay. And again, it's better to be a little too wide than a little not wide enough because you can always cut off. All right, so now that I have that situated, I'm going to move that up slightly and pin this down. So I've given myself a little room there. Everybody's doing okay? I'm looking at the Facebook comment side. So if you have a question on Facebook, let me know. Again, we are upcycling a So Much Soul t-shirt, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So, during the So Much Soul conference. Now, if you have not registered, again, type SMS in the chat so that you can get the link for So Much Soul. Get registered. We have an amazing group of instructors. Next Tuesday, oh my gosh. Next Tuesday, we are going to be announcing this year's Culture Keeper awardee. Yes, I'm super excited for it. I did not leave enough space. Talking, I wanted to leave a little bit of space at the back of this. Yeah. There we go. Any guesses on this year's So Much Soul Culture Keeper awardee? Any guesses out there? So 2 years ago, we had Leisha Rashad. Last year, we had Miss Bisa Butler. Who do you think this year's Culture Keeper is going to be? Let me know in the chat. All right, I'm going to cut it about 1 inch longer. And why? Just because. Just because. All right. So this is the bottom back. All right, Katina is getting registered. I see she just put SMS in the chat. We are looking forward to having you during our 3-day virtual conference coming up September 12th through the 14th. All right, and we're going to leave that inch down there, just adding a little length. All right, so let's summarize. We have our bottom front, we have our bottom back, and we have our sleeves, which we spliced open so that we can make more space here. All right, so we are going to start with hemming the bottom of our sleeve. So let's move these over to the side, and we're going to hem those the bottoms of these sleeves. So I can go ahead, now that I know I have already marked the back. Yes, I've marked the back. And I've also marked the wrong side of the fabric. So I can put these to the side. All right. So we are going to be doing a narrow hem on this sleeve. All right, so the way that I like to do a narrow hem is I first like to sew a seam all the way down this the bottom of the hem, all the way to the other side, and then I'll fold it up against that seam and then fold it up again. So let's go over to the sewing machine and I can give you all a better visual of what I mean. All I did was put my fabric on. I'm sewing 1/2 inch from the edge of the bottom of the sleeve. All right, that's sleeve 1. All right, we're going to the second sleeve. This is the bottom of the sleeve, lining up at the edge of the foot. We're about 1/4 inch. All right, so I am checking now to see what side I'm on. There we go. So I want to be sewing on the wrong side. I have my marking for wrong. So now that I have that 1/4 inch seam there, that's going to help me to be able to fold right on that seam, and I'm going to double fold it again. You may want to iron this first. I'm not going to, just because we are running up against time, but that's the best way to do it to make sure that you get that seam nice and perfect. All right. So most of the time I would do my underarm seam first, but because this is really long and curvy, hem, I want to go ahead and do this first, and then I'll make my sleeve. So let's do it. Nice. We have a couple of guesses for our culture keeper in there. Awesome, awesome. I see Nikki's on there. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Any other guesses for our culture keeper award? All right, one done. Let's get to the other one. We are on the second sleeve. All right. We got a couple more guesses in the chat. All right, now that we are finished hemming, we're going to go ahead and sew that underarm. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this together and sew the underarm of a V. So matching the hem with right sides together, starting at the hem. We'll go ahead and sew that up. If you're confused by this step, we will review when we go back to the cutting table. And just like that, we've lost our thread, but it's okay. There we go. Second sleeve. This is going to be so pretty. All right, so let's head over to the cutting table and see what we've got. All right, so we've got our two sleeves all ready for us. We are looking at the back of the sleeves, and they're still on the wrong side. So I have my sleeves complete here, and let me bring over my t-shirt. All right, so we are here and we have the backs. And so we're going to basically take the back is at the bottom with the shirt with the faced up. So we're going to be taking this sleeve and we're going to be putting this inside. We are going to find the top of the sleeve with a pin and matching that to the top there. All right, so we have a top here. So this is not going to be much fun to watch as it goes. We put the pin all the way around, but this is the process, guys. So let's go here. I probably won't use a ton of pins, but all right. So I've matched the bottom of the shirt, the armhole, and the top. So now I'm just going to go around, add a couple of pins so we can get this together. Alrighty. I think YouTube is my friend today. And if you find that you have a little extra, which I do for the t-shirt, I'm actually going to move this down towards the bottom. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Have a little extra, a little loop of fabric here. I don't want that at the top of my shirt, but I can definitely put that down under the arm. All right, so I've eased a lot of it in there and I have a little bit of extra, but that's not a big deal. All right, so let's go on to the other side. All right, so we're almost done with the sleeve. There we go. All right, so let's do the other sleeve. I wish I could fast forward, but I can't. Let's get that sleeve in there. All right, matching that with the top, and then finding the bottom of the sleeve. Perfect. All right, now going from the top, I'm going to Put a few pins on each side so we can get this in there. All right, almost there. And then we're going to get started with the, all right, almost. I wish I could ask her questions, but I can't see all of it. Maybe I'll head over to the YouTube and see if there are any questions on YouTube. All right. Okay, so let's head over to the to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew these sleeves in. So we're using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to go right around. Let's take off here. All right. Sleeve 1 is in. Let's get the second sleeve. All right, we're almost there at the bottom of the sleeve. All right, let's go head over and see how things are looking. All right, we've got a couple of pins to take out. All right, let's look at those sleeves. Oh, wow, that looks nice. I'm loving the sleeves. And even if you just wanted to do the sleeves, this will be really nice. All right, so, but we have a peplum, so let's get that peplum together, and this should be pretty easy to do. Let me just, while I have it nice and flat, let me just find my center for the front. There we go. And then I'm going to add a pin on the sides. This way, when we are adding our peplum, I've already got my quarters marked. All right, so we could take the pins out of both of these. All right, so we are going for the inside. So right sides to right sides, we are going to match up these seams here. We're going to be sewing the side seams together, and we're also going to be sewing the hem. So you guys saw how I added that piece, the seam at the bottom, so we could do a narrow hem. I'm going to skip that step this time, only because we are limited on time, but I want you guys to do that at home. All right, so let's go ahead, add both seams. We're sewing up the side seam. Side seam number 1. Side seam number 2. And then we're going to hem the bottom with a slightly faster method. All right, so I'm going to be folding as I go. All right, so if you are comfortable with this, definitely would try it. It's very easy with African print fabrics because the fabric is kind of stiff. Everybody doing all right out there? All right. We are getting around. We're on the other side. Just a moment. We should be finishing our hem. And all we have to do is add it to the bottom of the shirt. And since we've already marked it, it should go pretty easy adding it. And again, We're doing the hem like this for the sake of time, but I want you guys to have the perfect hem. So ironing is your friend, or pressing. Yep, we have like a foot left. We're almost there. All right, let's get to the cutting table. Here we are. All right, so we have our peplum ready, and when we're putting this peplum together, the pattern is interesting because it wanted me to put the shorter one in the back, but I actually like the longer one in the back. So you guys have to decide what you want to do, but that's how I'm going to do it. So again, right side to right side, I'm matching this front seam, the center front, I'm finding the side, I'm back on the side seam, and then I'm going to match that center back with my pen. Sorry if you can't see everything in the camera, but I promise you I'm finding those. Yeah, there's the center back here. All right. All right, so now that I've got this all lined up, I'm just going to put like 1 or 2 pins on each side in between each, because this is looking pretty. I measured, remember how I measured twice, cut once? So because of that, I don't have to like make a whole lot of changes in pushing fabric together, making sure it lines up. It actually lines up pretty well just by doing that extra measurement at the beginning. So we've learned a couple of methods. We learned how to splice open our sleeve to make sure our sleeve fits properly. We learned how to do a narrow hem today. And we also learned how to measure so that we can add pattern pieces to pieces that aren't in a pattern, which makes a difference. Just those little skills will help you to expand your ability at the sewing machine. So speaking of sewing machine, we're back at it with our last stitch. Last stitch, last stitch. Almost there. Can't wait to see her. Especially these colors look great. All right, coming back to that seam. All right. Let's see what we've got. All right, the moment of truth. Oh, nice. Oh, what a nice shirt. Very, very nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, this is a size 2XL, so it's very, it's got a nice amount of room for the sleeves. It's got a good amount of room for the peplum. If you want, like I like the idea of having this like kind of high-low thing going on here, but if you wanted it all to be one length, just reverse it. Put the peplum, the longer one in the front and the front one in the back. And then you'll get a different look. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do. But I want to thank you all so much. Sorry for all the glitches. I'm hoping that everything went through the internet well on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. But if not, we'll make sure that we upload this video so that you all can upcycle your t-shirts. Again, during the conference, I'm going to do a giveaway for the best upcycle tee. So make sure you guys go ahead and do your upcycling between now and the conference. Upload it to the Sewing Lounge Facebook group, and we'll pick a winner from there. All right, thank you all so much, and we'll see you on Friday for another giveaway live for Summer Self. All right, bye.